I watch the ticker tape with the same intensity every morning, not because I'm looking for the next big move, but because I'm preparing my mind for war. The market doesn't care about your hopes, your bills, or your dreams of wealth. It's an arena where the prepared feast on the unprepared, where discipline crushes impulse, and where your worst enemy isn't the bear or the bull, it's the voice inside your head telling you lies. I learned this lesson the hard way, more times than I care to admit, and each time it cost me everything. But here's what I discovered through those devastating losses. Success in trading isn't about finding the perfect setup or the hottest stock. It's about what you tell yourself when you open your eyes each morning, before the market bell rings, before the chaos begins. Every morning, before I even think about the market, I stand in front of my reflection and I speak truth to myself. Not affirmations that sound pretty but ring hollow. Real truth, the kind that cuts through the fog of greed and fear. I say, I am here to follow the market, not to predict it. You see, most traders wake up with their minds already made up about what the market should do. They've fallen in love with their analysis from yesterday, married themselves to a position, convinced themselves they've decoded some secret pattern. That's not trading, that's gambling with extra steps. The market owes you nothing. It doesn't care about your technical analysis or your fundamental research or your gut feeling. The market simply is, and your job is to observe it clearly, without the distortion of your ego. I tell myself, my capital is my ammunition, and I cannot fight without it. Every dollar in your trading account is a soldier in your army. Would a general send all his troops into battle at once, in a single charge against an enemy he barely understands? Yet traders do this every day. They see a setup that looks promising and they go all in, risking everything on one idea, one trade, one moment. I've been broke 3 times in my life. 3 times I built a fortune, and 3 times I lost it all. And every single time, it was because I forgot this fundamental truth. Preservation comes before profit. You cannot make money if you have no money to make it with. Each morning, I remind myself that my first duty isn't to make money, it's to not lose money stupidly. I will wait for my pitch. This is perhaps the most important thing I tell myself, and it's borrowed from baseball wisdom, though I've never been much of a ball player. In baseball, a batter can wait for the right pitch. In the market, you have that same luxury, yet traders act as if they're penalized for not swinging. They see movement and they feel compelled to participate. They see others making money and they panic that they're missing out. But the market is always there, always moving, always offering new opportunities. The great moves, the ones that build fortunes, they don't come every day or even every week. They come when conditions align, when the trend is unmistakable, when the probability is stacked so heavily in your favor that not taking the trade would be the real mistake. Until that moment arrives, my job is to wait, to watch, to stay liquid and alert. I remind myself every morning, the trend is my only friend. Not hope, not pride, not revenge. The trend. When I look at the tape, I'm not trying to outsmart it or predict where it will turn. I'm trying to see what it's telling me right now. In this moment, is money flowing into this stock or out of it? Are buyers stepping up with conviction or are they hesitant? Is the price making higher highs and higher lows, or is it chopping around in confusion? The market speaks clearly to those who listen without prejudice. But most traders don't listen, they argue. The market says down, and they say, but it shouldn't be, so I'll buy. The market says up, and they say it's too high, so I'll sell short. This is insanity. This is ego battling reality, and reality always wins. Every morning, I commit myself to humility before the tape. I will not impose my will on the market. I will find where the market's will is clearly expressed, and I will align myself with it. I trade patterns, not stocks. This is crucial. When you fall in love with a company, when you convince yourself that this particular stock is special, you've stopped being a trader and become an investor with a very short time horizon, a dangerous combination. I don't care if the company cures cancer or has the best management team in the world. I care about one thing. Is the stock acting right? Is it showing me strength when the market is weak? Is it holding its gains while others give theirs back? Is it leading or lagging? The story behind the stock might be compelling, but the price action tells the truth about what big money is actually doing. And big money, the professionals, the institutions, the smart money, they know more than you do. They always have and they always will. So rather than trying to be smarter than them, I simply watch where they're putting their money, and I follow. The pattern of accumulation, the pattern of markup, the pattern of distribution, these patterns repeat endlessly because human nature never changes. Every morning I also say this: my emotions are not my guide. Fear and greed are powerful forces, and they will destroy you if you let them into the driver's seat. Fear will make you exit winning trades too early, snatching a small profit when a large one was developing. Greed will make you hold losing trades too long, hoping they'll come back, or pyramid into winning trades recklessly after the move is nearly over. Both emotions whisper lies that sound like wisdom. Fear says, take your profit now. Be safe when you should be letting your winners run. Greed says, add more. It's going higher when you should be tightening your stops. I've learned that the moments when I feel most certain, most excited, most convinced, those are the dangerous moments. That's when I slow down, take a breath, and ask myself, am I following my rules or am I following my feelings? The rules are there because past versions of me, calmer and wiser versions, created them. My emotional self in the heat of the moment is the least qualified version of me to make decisions. I will honor my stops. This is non-negotiable, yet it's the rule that traders break most frequently. Why? Because honoring a stop means admitting you were wrong. It means taking a loss. It means accepting that your analysis, your timing, or your execution was off. Nobody likes being wrong, but in trading, being wrong is simply part of the process. The best traders in the world are wrong 40, even 50% of the time. What makes them successful isn't their win rate, it's their ability to cut losses quickly and let profits run. Every trade I enter, I know exactly where I'm wrong. I've defined it in advance. And when the market touches that point, I exit without hesitation, without negotiation, without hope. Because I know something absolutely certain. The market can stay irrational longer than I can stay solvent. Hoping and holding has destroyed more traders than any market crash ever did. Each morning, I make these declarations not once but multiple times, letting them sink past my conscious mind into something deeper. I'm programming myself for success the same way a pilot runs through a pre-flight checklist. It's not exciting. It's not glamorous, but it works. Because when the market opens and chaos erupts, when stocks are gapping and moving and everyone around you is reacting emotionally, you won't have time to think your way to the right decision. You'll fall back on your programming, on the mental patterns you've established. And if you've spent your mornings reinforcing discipline, patience, and respect for the market, those qualities will emerge under pressure. But if you've spent your mornings fantasizing about profits and scrolling through social media looking for hot tips, that's what will emerge instead. The transformation from losing trader to winning trader isn't about finding better indicators or more sophisticated strategies. It's about becoming a different person, someone who can watch money appear on the screen without getting excited, and watch it disappear without getting panicked. Someone who treats a winning streak and a losing streak with the same level of emotional detachment. Someone who measures success not by today's profit and loss, but by whether they followed their process. Because here's the secret that took me years and millions of dollars to learn. If you execute your process consistently, profits take care of themselves. The market rewards consistency and discipline over time. It punishes inconsistency and emotion ruthlessly. There are no exceptions to this rule, regardless of how smart you are or how hard you work. People ask me what separates the professional trader from the amateur, and I'll tell you, it's not intelligence, not work ethic, not even capital. It's the ability to be comfortable being uncomfortable. The amateur needs certainty. He needs to know this trade will work before he enters it. The professional understands that every trade is a probability, nothing more. He's comfortable placing his bet when the odds favor him, knowing that this particular instance might not work out, but that over time, playing the percentages will produce profits. The amateur needs action. Sitting in cash feels like wasting time, like missing opportunities. The professional knows that cash is a position, often the best position, and that doing nothing is frequently the highest return activity available. The amateur trades to feel something: excitement, vindication, revenge. The professional trades to make money, and he's learned that feelings and profits rarely coincide. What you say to yourself in those quiet morning moments, before the world intrudes, before the market opens, before your emotions have been triggered, that determines everything. Because trading isn't really about the market. The market is just the arena where your internal condition gets expressed in dollars and cents. If you're undisciplined in life, you'll be undisciplined in trading. If you're impulsive in relationships, you'll be impulsive in entries and exits. If you're dishonest with yourself about your weaknesses, the market will expose those weaknesses without mercy. This is why I say trading is the most expensive form of self-education available. The market will teach you everything about yourself that you've been avoiding, and it will charge you tuition in the form of losses until you learn the lessons. Let me tell you about the morning I lost everything for the third time. I woke up that day feeling invincible. I'd made a series of winning trades, my account had grown substantially, and I'd convinced myself I had finally figured it all out. I skipped my morning routine. I didn't recite my rules. I didn't remind myself of the principles that had gotten me to that point. I just opened my trading platform and started looking for opportunities, full of confidence that bordered on arrogance. By the end of that week, I was wiped out. Not because the market changed, not because my strategies stopped working, but because I changed. I stopped being the disciplined trader who had built that account and became the reckless gambler who destroyed it. That pain, that humiliation, that crushing realization that I had done this to myself, that's when I truly understood the power of the morning practice. Since that day, I haven't missed a single morning. Even when I'm not trading, even when the markets are closed, even when I'm traveling or sick or distracted by life's other demands, I stand before myself and I speak these truths. Because I know now that discipline isn't something you have, it's something you do. Every single day, without exception. The moment you think you've arrived, the moment you believe you no longer need the fundamentals, that's the moment you've begun your descent. The market has humbled far greater men than me, and it stands ready to humble you too if you give it the opportunity. Your morning practice is your armor, your shield against your own worst impulses. I also tell myself each morning, I will not revenge trade. This might be the hardest rule to follow because it requires you to overcome one of the most powerful human instincts, the need to get even. When you take a loss, especially a loss that stings, everything in you wants to jump right back in and make that money back immediately. Your ego is wounded. You feel the need to prove that the loss was a fluke, that you're not actually wrong, that you can beat this market. But revenge trading is suicide. It's trading from emotion, not from strategy. It's forcing trades that aren't there because you have a psychological need, not because the market is offering an opportunity. I've seen men destroy in hours what took them years to build, all because they couldn't accept a loss and move on. Every morning, I commit to accepting losses as the cost of doing business, as inevitable as rent or electricity, and I promise myself that I will never, ever let my ego put my capital at risk. I will scale in, not all in. This is a lesson I learned through bitter experience. Early in my career, when I identified what I thought was a great opportunity, I'd put all my capital into it immediately. Sometimes I was right, and I made a fortune quickly. More often I was early, the opportunity was real, but my timing was off by days or weeks. And because I was fully committed, I had no ammunition left to add to the position when it finally started moving, or no ability to average in at better prices. Worse, when I was wrong, I was completely wrong, with my entire account tied up in a losing position. Now, every morning I remind myself that I will enter positions gradually, testing the waters first, adding only when the market proves me right. This approach means I miss the very bottom or the very top, but it also means I survive the times when I'm wrong, and survival is the prerequisite for everything else in this business. I am not competing with anyone but yesterday's version of myself, The comparison game will destroy you in trading. You'll see someone post about a huge winner on social media and you'll feel inadequate. You'll hear about a friend who made a fortune on some stock and you'll feel like you're falling behind. But trading isn't a competition with other traders, it's a competition with your own weaknesses. The only question that matters is, am I better today than I was yesterday? Am I more disciplined, more patient, more consistent? Am I making the same mistakes or have I learned from them? When I focus on this question, instead of comparing myself to others, I find peace and I find progress, because someone else's success or failure has absolutely nothing to do with mine. We're playing different games, with different capital, different strategies, different risk tolerances, and different goals. The only person I need to beat is the version of me who let emotions override discipline, who let greed override risk management, who let ego override reality. These morning declarations aren't magic spells. They won't make losing trades into winners. They won't give you some secret insight into market direction. What they do is far more valuable. They prepare your mind for the psychological warfare that is trading. They remind you of principles that you already know, but that get forgotten in the heat of battle. They create a mental state conducive to good decision-making rather than reactive, emotional trading. Over time, they change who you are at a fundamental level. You become the kind of person who follows their rules even when it's difficult, who remains calm when others panic, who sees opportunities when others see only chaos. I want to be absolutely clear about something. This morning practice won't make trading easy. Nothing will make trading easy. The market's job is to take money from the many and give it to the few, and it's very good at its job. What the morning practice does is give you a fighting chance. It puts you in the small minority of traders who approach this business with the seriousness it demands. Most people treat trading like a hobby, like a game, like something they can do casually while working another job or raising a family. Those people fund the accounts of professionals like me. They're the liquidity that makes the market function. They're necessary for the ecosystem, but you don't want to be them. Every morning I also make this commitment. I will keep learning. The moment you think you know everything about the market is the moment you guarantee your eventual destruction. The market evolves. Technology changes. New participants enter with different motivations and different time horizons. Regulations shift. Economic conditions transform. What worked last year might not work this year. What worked this morning might not work this afternoon. I read constantly not just about trading, but about psychology, about history, about human behavior. I study my own trades, keeping detailed journals not just of what I did, but why I did it and how I felt when I did it. I analyze my winners to understand what I did right, and I analyze my losers to understand what I did wrong. This commitment to continuous improvement isn't optional for the serious trader. It's the price of admission. I will not confuse a bull market with genius. This is perhaps the most humbling thing I tell myself, and it's especially important during good times. When everything is going up, when you're making money on almost every trade, it's easy to believe you've mastered this game. It's easy to increase your position sizes, take more risks, get more aggressive. But a rising tide lifts all boats, and you haven't necessarily become a better trader. You've just been fortunate enough to be trading during favorable conditions. I've watched countless traders make fortunes during bull markets, only to give it all back, and more, when conditions changed. They confused being in the right place at the right time with actual skill. They didn't realize that their success was environmental, not personal. When the environment changed, their true skill level was exposed. Every morning, I remind myself to stay humble, to recognize that much of my success comes from being aligned with larger forces I don't control, and to prepare for the day when those forces shift. The greatest advantage I have over the average trader isn't my experience, though that helps. It isn't my capital, though that provides cushion. It's my willingness to do nothing when there's nothing to do. Most traders are addicted to action. They feel they must be in a trade to be trading. They can't sit in cash without feeling like they're wasting time or missing opportunities. But the best trades I've ever made were preceded by long periods of waiting, watching, refusing to participate in choppy, unclear markets. When the market is confused, when there's no clear trend, when volatility is whipping prices around randomly, the right move is to do nothing. Absolutely nothing. Preserve your capital, preserve your mental energy, and wait for clarity. The market will tell you when it's time to act. It will show you a clear trend, a clean breakout, an unmistakable accumulation pattern. Until that moment, sitting in cash isn't a waste, it's the highest return move available to you. Here's what I've learned about losses, and this is something I remind myself of constantly. Losses are information. When I take a loss, I'm not failing, I'm learning where the market doesn't want to go. I'm discovering where my analysis was incomplete. I'm getting feedback on my timing, my entry, my position sizing, my risk management. A properly managed loss is one of the most valuable things that can happen to you because it tells you something true about the current market conditions. The traders who never lose are the traders who never trade. Everyone else, everyone actually in the arena, loses regularly. The difference is that professional traders lose small and win big, while amateurs do the opposite. They let small losses become big losses through hope and denial, and they cut big winners short through fear and impatience. I tell myself every morning that my ego is not my friend in this business. The ego wants to be right. It wants to prove its intelligence, its insight, its superiority. But the market doesn't care about any of that. The only thing that matters is whether you're making money or losing money. And the ego will cost you money far more often than it will make you money. When I'm wrong, I need to admit it immediately and exit the position. When I'm right, I need to stay humble and recognize that I was probably also a little lucky. The ego wants me to stay in losing trades to avoid admitting error. The ego wants me to add to losing trades to prove I'm right. The ego wants me to brag about winners and hide losers. I've learned to recognize the ego's voice and to do exactly the opposite of what it tells me. This isn't natural. It's not easy. It requires constant vigilance and practice, which is why it's part of my morning routine. So develop your morning practice. Stand before yourself honestly and speak these truths until they become part of your operating system. Remind yourself that you're here to follow, not lead. That capital preservation enables all future gains. That patience is rewarded and impulsiveness is punished. That the trend is the only reliable friend you have in this business. That patterns matter more than stories. That your emotions are designed for survival, not for trading, and must be acknowledged but not obeyed. That stops are sacred and must be honored. That you're competing only with yourself. That learning never stops. That losses are information. That your ego is not your guide. Do this every morning without exception, and you'll notice something remarkable. Over time, you'll need the reminders less, because these principles will have become who you are, rather than something you have to remember to do. The greatest gift the market has given me isn't money, though I've made fortunes and lost them and made them again. It's the gift of self-mastery, or at least the pursuit of it. Every day the market provides immediate, honest feedback about the quality of my thinking and the strength of my discipline. There's no one to blame, no one to credit but myself. This pure accountability, this direct cause and effect, has made me better not just as a trader but as a human being. It's forced me to confront my weaknesses, to build systems that work around my limitations, to become more than I was. And here's what I know with absolute certainty after decades in this arena. You have that same opportunity. The market doesn't care where you came from, what education you have, who your parents were, or what you look like. It cares only about one thing: can you master yourself? Every morning when you speak these truths to yourself, you're doing more than preparing for the trading day. You're declaring that you refuse to be average, that you refuse to let your emotions destroy your capital, that you refuse to quit when things get difficult. You're joining a small brotherhood of individuals throughout history who understood that the path to external success runs directly through internal mastery. The market will test you. It will tempt you with easy gains that evaporate if you chase them. It will frighten you away from opportunities with volatility and uncertainty. It will punish your ego and reward your humility. And through all of this, the only thing you truly control is your response. Not what the market does, but what you do when the market does it. That's where the battle is won or lost, in that space between stimulus and response. In that moment when you choose discipline over impulse, patience over action, process over outcome. This morning practice is my gift to you, earned through pain and failure and years of expensive lessons. I'm sharing it because I remember what it was like to be broke, to be confused, to be overwhelmed by the market's complexity and my own emotional chaos. I remember the desperation of wanting to succeed but not knowing how, of having the desire but not the discipline. If you're in that place now, know this: you can change. You can become the trader you need to be. But it starts not with a new strategy or a hot tip or a better indicator. It starts with who you are when you wake up each morning and what you tell yourself before the battle begins. The words you speak to yourself in those quiet moments are the foundation of everything that follows. They're the difference between a professional and a gambler, between a career and a catastrophe, between the person you are and the person you're capable of becoming. Say them with conviction, mean them, live them. And when you fail, because you will fail, we all fail, say them again the next morning, and the morning after that, and the morning after that. Because success in this business isn't about perfection. It's about persistence. It's about getting back up after losses, about maintaining discipline through winning streaks, about staying humble when you're right and staying calm when you're wrong. If you found value in what I've shared today, I want you to do something for me. Leave a comment below and tell me which of these morning declarations resonates most with you, or share your own morning practice if you have one. Let's build a community of serious traders who are committed to mastering this craft. And make sure you watch the other videos on this channel, where we dive deeper into specific strategies, market timing, and the psychology of trading at the highest level. This isn't entertainment, this is your education, your transformation from amateur to professional. The market is waiting, and it's utterly indifferent to whether you succeed or fail. But I'm not indifferent. I've walked this path, paid the tuition, learned the lessons, and now I'm sharing them with you. What you do with them is up to you. Say these words every morning. Mean them. Live them. And watch as your trading and your life transforms completely. The person you are today is not the person you must become to succeed in this business. Start building that person tomorrow morning, and every morning after. Your future self, the successful trader you're meant to become, is waiting for you to show up and do the work.